Amitabh Tiwari. I'd like to invite Mr. Amitabh Tiwari to come onto the stage, please. He's a digital innovation specialist and a corporate diplomat and entrepreneur with extensive experience in IT and fintech innovations globally. He specializes in sustainable finance and next-gen payment ecosystems and as a sustainability architect. Put your hands together and give him a warm welcome, Mr. Amitabh Tiwari. The discussion of this panel that Mr. Tiwari is moderating it's called The Future of Payments, Innovation in Open Banking Transactions. I'll also introduce the panel members for this last session. First and foremost, Ms. Paula Tavangar, Chief Investment Officer of Injaz Capital. She's a distinguished entrepreneur and leader in fintech, blockchain, and quantitative finance, renowned for her expertise and achievements in venture capital and algorithmic trading strategy development. Put your hands together for Paula Tavangar. The next on the panel is Mr. Deepak Tomar. He's leading Novus Loyalty, driving innovation and excellence, positioning the company as a trailblazer in fintech with end-to-end loyalty management solutions, empowering customers and their loyalty and financial success as well. Put your hands together for Mr. Shoukkath, who's the CEO of Acute Info Solutions, who demonstrates exceptional leadership and technical expertise in driving transformative change, fostering creativity and collaboration, and advocating for community engagement in the software industry. Mr. Shaju Shoukkath. Next, this is the last session, guys. The last session, you don't have to clap after this. So if you'll clap for every member, they'll feel good. And Mr. Karim Zaitouni said, if you smile at them, it's your health that is getting better. So keep clapping for our panel members, everyone. Next up, I'd like to invite Mr. Pravin Sharma, founder and director of Futuretek Commerce Private Limited. Brings you with him 24 years of fintech experience, notably in payments, steering Getapay's growth and strategic tie-ups, and ensuring compliance with industry standards and regulations. Mr. Pravin Sharma, who doesn't look like has 24 years of experience. You're still looking like 24, sir. Okay, next we have Dr. Vince Tallent, the founder and chairman of Tallent Technology Advisory Services, bringing decades of expertise in fintech and TMT industries to prestigious FiNext conference. We welcome him, highlighting his distinguished career and commitment to innovation. Put your hands together for Dr. Vince Tallent. In this panel discussion, we're going to hand it over to the moderator, Mr. Amitabh Tiwari, who's going to start by discussing the future of payments, innovations in open banking transactions. The clock is going to start. Please try to adhere with the clock, Mr. Amitabh Tiwari, because we are running short of time. And after this, we will have the awards as well. So whoever is outside, call them in, and we can, start with the awards as well right after the panel discussion. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We are the last ones to be on the panel. It has been an interesting day, a rather interesting couple of days. Last two that we have seen so many interesting discussions, so many good panel discussions, and I'm again very happy to be on the stage with some very eminent guys and industry specialists. And our topic is something very interesting which basically impacts us on daily basis today, which is open banking, which incidentally is one of the newcomers in the fintech industry, and it's revolutionizing and impacting the way we approach banking today, or the way fintech industries today are rolling out new solutions which impact us on daily basis, on daily lives. In our landscape when we are using financial solutions. On our panel are Ms. Paula Tavangar. She is from Injaz Capital CEO. Then Mr. Deepak Tomar, CEO of Novus Loyalty. Mr. Shaju Shoukkath, he is CEO for Acute Infosystems. Mr. Pravin Sharma, Founder Director, eSiksha Technologies. And Dr. Vincent Tallent, Chairman, CEO, CFO of Agilon Group. Everybody. Future of payments, as we all know, has been, especially with the open banking systems, has been totally revolutionized. We are creating a new lines and disrupting the way banking institutions or non-banking institutions today are approaching their data sets and approaching the customers and giving them new solutions, right? My one open question before we go, one single question to each one of you is that what in your own, because you all come from very, very diverse industries, very, very diverse platforms, right? In your own personal, outview, how is open banking transactions in your field or in your domain is impacting the consumer behavior and the data accessibility by the institutions, and what innovations are expected in near future within the domain where you operate? So I will start with Dr. Vincent, please.
Thanks, Amitabh. Good afternoon, everyone. Look, let me start by just giving you my view of what open banking is trying to do. So I think if you go back to the world of the mobile operators, the operators love saying, we own the customer. Banks are very similar. We own the customer, they ring-fence the customer, and they own the customer. That world is changing, and open banking basically tries to rip apart the concept that a mobile operator or a bank owns you. They do not own you. It's your data. You decide what you want to do with it. So the basic concept behind it, and strategically I think, it's an absolutely superb concept. Because in this world where data just gets interchanged so easily, no one really knows where the data's going. So really we have to take it away from the institutions and take it back to the individuals. You decide whether you want to share the data with anyone. And you can do that very simply in an app. So you can just shut your data off and don't give access to someone. So I'll set the scene around that. Now, what I love about open banking, and I think the best way to describe it, is to give you some really strong use cases. And I try and sort of bucket them into 3 specific areas. And by the way, I'll try and not talk too long, because I'm very passionate about this area. So, Mr. Moderator, you're going to have to tell me to shut up. So,
I think we should be okay.
There are sort of 3 areas. One is using financial information to improve what you do with your life. So that's number 1 key area. And I'll give you a very specific use case around that. So you can go into an app today and just open up and share your information. One very strong use case is things like subscriptions. So if you've got credit cards with multiple banks, you can go to one app, give the data all to that app, and they start to manage your subscriptions for you. I don't know how many of you in this room, and I can tell you I don't know how many subscriptions I have on multiple cards, but wouldn't it be really cool if someone could just manage that for you? They could shut the subscriptions off, they could share data with the companies that provide the services to you, and just end those subscriptions. So that's one area where I think you can use financial information to better what you do. I'll stop there for a second, and I'll let someone else contribute, and then we'll come back.
Thank you so much. And you rightly pinned out that data is one of the biggest concerns for almost all walks of technology aspects, whether we are a technology creator or a solution provider or a government regulator or a customer. So data is something very critical to all of us. And I'm sure I probably will pick up some threads with you on later on this. And Paula, hi. So what exactly is your point of view with open banking in the domain, especially with you operate?
Indeed, that was very detailed in terms of how open banking benefits literally everyone. Maybe what I can add is that it's a sector that is very fast growing. This year, 130 million individuals are expected to be using open banking. And simply, I could shorten it this way as something that empowers the fintech service providers, and consequently that empowers the individual user and also the SMEs. That's a very important aspect, because especially in the region, I think that we had experienced that gap of underserved small and medium-sized companies, and consequently you cannot expand your business, you cannot manage your financials properly. This simply gives easier access through that fintech service providers. It gives easier access to those companies to official banking channels. So I think that this is open banking is absolutely the future of finance, and it's growing at a very fast pace. And where I'm seeing it mostly potentially being used is in embedded finance. I think that the brick and mortar banks will always be there. I don't think that they would disappear at any point of time, but their role will change more and more with time. I think our reliance directly on the bank will decrease, and then we're going to have those type of super apps in which, as my fellow panelists here mentioned, you can connect your credit cards, or you can use multiple services basically. And I think that similar thing already exists in China, which is WeChat, and I imagine that we're going to be using similar type of apps more and more, not only in the region, but globally.
Very interesting. In fact, when I realized that you are going to be on panel, especially from Injaz Capital, and Injaz Capital by very traditional finance ecosystems, I was curious to understand that what exactly you are doing with open finance, open banking finance, right? So I will pick up some queries with you when I come to you on a later question, right? Mr. Shaju, how are you approaching this domain? How are you approaching the domain of open banking transactions? How it is impacting your business line?
Currently, we were doing technical support for the fintech services. For our point of view, data utilization is the most priority one. Open banking means we are giving consent to the bank or other financing firms to get the information of that particular customer. For seeking that customer information, we have to keep their privacy and the security there. For that one, data set is doing good right now, and maybe upcoming years, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years, all over the world, all the bank must be back to the open banking system from the traditional one. I think so.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. That's very elaborate, and I especially come from the similar background, so probably it correlates and echoes with what we also expect to with open banking. So we'll probably pick up some threads in the second round. Mr. Sharma, Mr. Pravin, e-Shiksha, very interesting concept when I went through your profile and went through the things. And education is something very personal to me, you know, edutech is very personal to me. And so I was very curious to say that what is open banking to do with e-Shiksha, and when I realized and saw your profile, it was very interesting. Can you share that with the, the audience here?
Yeah, so e-Shiksha was a first product which we did in 2012. We started in 2013, and I think at that point of time when we started working, we started working with the banks only. Okay, so today also, so our second product, which is GetiPay, where we are a payment aggregator and where we work with more than 1.5 million merchants, and all these merchants are acquired through the banks as a channel. So we today power almost 140 banks, small, big together in India, where we have provided the complete co-branded platform, the apps, which is the bank's app, correct? So when the merchant goes to the platform, gets the app which is the bank's own app, that gives a satisfaction, and that trust factor is there with the end merchant. So I think and within that we have integrated deeply with these banks, where we have where the complete data, the merchant account details, the various banking services are also part of this offering, where not only it's a vanilla payments, but it is the complete banking services which is coming onto the platform. So I think the way ahead, like say, and I'll give you another example, that say the similar model we are now we will be launching in almost 10 to 15 countries this year. So the similar model which we have replicated in India, we are going to replicate into the international market as well. So the same model, work with the banks, offer the solutions. So I'll go back to one more thing, where if you see the Vision 25, which is of the Reserve Bank of India, it says that only, that let the banks do the banking, and the vast service providers like us who are fintech players, especially into the payments domain, let them do the payments and innovation, and work with the banks, because you can't remove the banks, correct? So the bank has the complete data, the complete trust factor, which is there with the end customer, and on top of it, we have created a wrapper, you can say kind of a wrapper, which goes to the end user. The bank is able to provide innovative solutions to their end customers, and I think that's the future, correct? So because traditionally the banks wants to do the banking services only, correct? So they are not more interested into the payment side. These are all cost factors for them, correct? So I think this is where we or any other payments player or any other fintech player come into the picture. Like, say, there are other partners here who have been working on to the similar domains. Someone is working on the loyalty side of it. Someone is working on the customer experience side of it, digitalizing. So I think overall as a bundle, this is a win-win for the banks and win-win for the fintech players to work together and provide an end-to-end solution, a great user experience to the end merchant. I think that's the take for me.
It sure is a win-win. I must acknowledge that, and it's very innovative, because to mix and match something very traditional ecosystem like education and enabling payment system for the education aspirants. My recommendation to everybody in the hall should be that you must go and look up their website and see how they are integrating the payments for the educational aspirants, and making them easy to approach educational systems and address it. So it's very innovative, Pravin, and probably we'll discuss more about it. Yes, right. And lastly is, so how is loyalty industry? I'm sure there is too much of integration there. So how is loyalty industry addressing this aspect?
Good evening, everyone. So as Vince mentioned, I can talk long about it, but I'll try to keep it short. So we work directly with bank. Like if you use your credit card, you're getting points, all the rewards around it. Yep. So in our industry, what was happening, if a card is activated, like if you activate your debit card or credit card, then you're going to get a voucher, you're going to get some points. So we used to get that end of the day. That was conventional method of doing it. Like, because bank has a core banking system, the transaction's going to end, a file going to get uploaded into the system, and then we'll be notified, our system will be notified that customer is supposed to get this, or we're going to give it to customer. But like with open banking coming in place, it's becoming so easy for me to get it right away and then communicate it to customer. It's an immediate gratification for the customer. Like it's directly attached. Like I can offer a lot of personalized offers to him, because like if he's around, right, he bought a laptop, so I know what I need to offer him next afterwards. So it's good for customer as well, because they're getting relevant details what they need. They're getting relevant offers. Open banking has enabled, as Pravin mentioned, as value-added services kind of vendors we are, like it really enabled us to get access to a lot more information way more quickly, and then run our service in a more efficient way. So
indeed, I think especially after last couple of years, when various regulators have started acknowledging loyalty as an individual asset class, right, it has become more important that it is addressed very singularly, but on the spot as well as a single product riding on the technological wavelength of open banking system. It's very interesting.
100%. I would like to add, when you mentioned regulators, because like we were never close to radar of regulators. Like about 3 years back, they said like there has to be some regulation, what rewards gonna go out, what points gonna go out, but they were not deep diving into it. But now, the kind of data need to be processed, the kind of personalization need to be offered to the customer. It's growing. Ours like AI-powered platform, it's just gonna plug in information. So I need I have access to a lot of data. So specifically, regulators are coming in picture. They want to restrict like what kind of P2 compliance and all those compliances are coming in place in our industry as well.
Indeed, that's very interesting. But I think as Dr. Vincent also said, this is such an open topic, we can discuss hours and hours, and new leaves of information will come. But since the paucity of time is there, probably I will just have to run through one more round with you. But I will start with you, Paula, and especially again with Injaz Capital, and was one of the very leading names in the financial industry here. So can you just guide us or advise us that what's one specific open banking initiative that Injaz has taken and is impacting SME clients, medium clients, or general public at all? You can take this.
I think now it should be working, yeah. So I'll be completely transparent here. As an entity in Injaz Capital, we are not utilizing any open banking within the structure. It's a pretty traditional boutique asset management firm. But how I am involved in the topic is that I have been twice a co-founder in a fintech company. So I would say that we're following very closely the fintech ecosystem here, and especially the open banking and how it evolved in the last few years. As well as at Injaz Capital, we are looking at fintech deals on a selective basis. So that's another, but again, our focus is very regional. So that's something that gives me insights of the industry. So maybe a piece of useful information I can provide here is how the open banking evolved regionally for the last few years. We had seen a massive pickup actually in the adoption, and everything started with Bahrain. It was the first country to provide the official legislation on open banking, and we even had the first success story from Benefit Pay, which has immense growth still, I think at around 70% annual growth. And this is just an example for the other countries what would happen when they more actively adopt. Thank you so much. And then we're seeing also Saudi Arabia officially, SAMA launched the Sandbox. Actually, that's a program that we were involved with. And the companies that are associated with it, we see the trend of buy now, pay later being very popular there and how it changes the overall consumer space. And UAE, it's still on the way, it's still in the works, but we expect that to happen very soon.
Very nice, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much. Again, it was interesting that's why I was very curious to understand that where is the match coming up between a capital firm which doesn't have a direct B2C contact points as much as, but after we get time, I probably will discuss with you some more initiatives that some other capital firms are doing in that space, right? Dr. Tallent, you come with such immense background and such credible profile. I probably will love to speak to you more and more on that, but and more so that you come from a very classic Saudi background, right? And Saudi financial ecosystem is very traditional, very conservative. And how do you think, how did you find the open banking transactions disrupting the Saudi side of, or Saudi way of finance, as we call it in the industry?
So I think the way I'll answer that question, Amitabh, if you forgive me, is rather than talk about Saudi specifically, it's across the world, regulators have a very important role to play. Now, when you look at open banking, and specifically in Saudi, it hasn't come yet, it's on its way, it hasn't arrived yet. But across the board, if regulators don't push the banks to open up, and open up to timelines with penalties, I'm afraid I have a very bleak view of open banking. And I've heard a lot over the last, yesterday and today, all about collaboration. Collaboration is a great word if people commit to timelines and deadlines. There have been business models where I've had to execute very rapidly, given shareholders putting a lot of pressure on you as a fintech to deliver returns and deliver value. But the regulators don't understand what shareholders want and push the banks to work with the fintechs. And by the way, the banks are working with fintechs, I'm not saying they're not, but they're not working to timelines and they're not delivering on timelines. So if you want to execute an open banking business, you better have a regulator who really understands what you need and can work alongside you to push the banks to open up. And I speak from my heart here. So I've been heavily involved in Saudi for about 2.5 years, building a financial super app. Very proud of what we achieved. We've got about 500,000 users on the app. But it took a long time to get all the partners aligned with the execution plan. And if you imagine from getting your processor involved to your scheme, and I'm not just talking about the domestic scheme, you've got the international scheme, you've got your marketplace players, you've got third-party vendors. We had something like 22 integrations into one app, and all of that had to go seamlessly to levels of detail that are impeccable just to execute the business. So that's one part of it. But I also want to come back to open banking will facilitate innovation in payments, and I think you've heard that from Pravin and Deepak as well. So that's a given for me, and there's some great use cases, by the way. Great business in the UK. I'll give you one example. An app's popped up that's solving a very specific problem for the Football League. There's lots of football in the UK. But guess what? Referees were never paid on time. Right? So they turn up, they referee the game, and then they're chasing their invoice to be paid.
Right.
Here, it's near real time, referees are getting paid. And not just, at the higher divisions, but I'm talking grassroots university football. I mean, I remember when I used to referee football matches, it used to take me 2 weeks to get paid. Right. Here, it's near real time. In 20 seconds, you've got your money. So that's one piece of where open banking, I think, is brilliant. And then there's the whole lending piece. I mean, I've got great use cases where, people couldn't get a £1,000 loan in the UK. Today, there are up to 5 to 6 million people who are actually outside of the financial services roadmap. They can't get a £1,000 loan. What open banking does for them is gives them a £1,000 loan, which they've never been able to get before. So I think you're back to financial inclusion. So I think open banking does bring financial inclusion also to the table. So that's all the good stuff. The challenge still remains, and I think what Elliot said earlier today around, 90% of these businesses will fail. So on the one side, you've got open banking, encouraging innovation, bringing startups to the table where they've never had access to data to build good products and services. And AI, to your earlier point, AI will make it easier. But the challenge remains, if we're all going to go down the open banking route and 90% of them fail, then who's accountable? So if you are going to bring innovation to the table, and I'll give you another example, by the way, I was heavily involved in Singapore building my own startup way back in 2012, 2013, and trying to secure, even in those days, getting Series A funding was very difficult because Singapore was driven by F&B, hotels, tourism, shipping, didn't really understand fintech. 10 years later, you look at Singapore, it's absolutely staggering. And I think Dubai is going to go way past Singapore, by the way. But I think having access to that Series B capital, so I think you can get the seed and the A from the high net worths or ultra high net worths. But what you really want is Series B capital that can really fuel the growth of these companies. Or the 90% will become a reality. Unless what Elliot told us today is he can really change that world. And I reached out to him, so hopefully we can share some ideas together around how we can stop this 90% from happening. I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, but you very rightly picked up a couple of pain points which we all can relate to on the regulator's behalf, because the regulators become very, very concerned when it comes to data and data accessibility, especially on a public domain. And then you also picked up a point called financial inclusion, which obviously has been facilitated very extensively by the open banking transactions and open banking systems which are being in place now. So again, there are so many points, so many things within your, commentary which can have much more elaboration. Unfortunately, we probably will discuss this outside once we finish this, but probably I will have to go.
I totally understand the constraints.
Yeah, I will come to you, Shaju. Again, we, both me and you come from very deep tech space, Acute. So can you elaborate on the security aspect or on the veracity aspect of open banking and how your company, Acute, is addressing the tools and terminologies within the open banking APIs or API systems.
Yeah, let me tell you one thing. We can see that before a couple of decades, people doing traditional banking. And I'm from India. I know it's very difficult to make it, all of them to a digital banking system. We tried a lot, and at least 60% is using digital banking now. And we need some more time to make it to open banking. People still considering it's a threat because due to the data vulnerability. So we had to remove the threat from their mind. It's open one. It open means open to the global because it's the public domains. The data is stored there. So someone can store there. It's on the other hand, whatever the security there will be hacking there. So we have to find out the other tools. When the technology develops, it will come more out. So my point of view is that currently data is stored as everyone's data is stored there on the data centers with a very well-packed security with the modern technologies. And now we can see that if I have a unique ID for open banking, I have a unique ID, it's open to the bank, then currently I can use it in India anywhere there. My ambition is that I am looking for that one after 1 or 2 years. From that ID, I can utilize it across the world. Any of the world, I can use the same ID. As the unique ID, I can use it anywhere in the world. I can transfer money, I can receive money within a fraction of 2 seconds or 10 seconds as the bank prescribed. And maybe after maybe 5 or 6 years, banking system will change, fintech system will coming into the forward. I mean, they will do the customer relation support and they will do the customer interaction, data processing, everything they will hand. Banks still be on the name there. Almost 90% of the work will be handled by the fintech systems. And later that, after 10 or 15 years, as now we are using the credit card or something, we can see that normal people will use the crypto or something similar to that on that time. I think so. If you think that before 25 years, no one knows about the cryptocurrencies. No one think about it. Now after 25 years, I'm thinking so like that. Because I worked here on 2008. After 2008, I worked here. And I came back here after 2024 now. After 18 years, I came back in UAE. So I can see a lot of changes there, but still on the same traditional way. The merchants, the local trades are on the same traditional way. We were sitting at the 5-star hotel, but I'm talking about the locals. And local means the normal, ordinary people. Local means local persons. So the normal persons, there is the money on their hand. Not in our, every bank is succeeded and running on that one. The transactions based on them.
Right.
It's not over in India, not in UAE. It's over the world. 75% of the transaction is coming from the normal people.
Sure.
From my point of view, the data should be secured one, and it is currently going on. I cannot elaborate it here because it's a part of our security system.
Sure.
And we are using almost all countries. I am doing projects, and we have completed full stack program for 12 countries and 12 currencies, different currencies. It's going fine, and we are using our own algorithm there. And we are facing something like traditional banking systems. I can see that we are facing some trouble, some issues that when we convert money to another one. We are providing it on a time delay of 2 minutes. We are providing the transaction from any country to what we have done.
Very interesting.
We have completed almost Southeast Asian country currencies. From a Malaysian ringgit or a Cambodian dollar, we can transfer to anyone to USD or USDT. Within a fraction of 2 minutes, we were assured it. There is also service charges, but it's based on the fintech or payment solution systems, not from us. We have completed that one, and we were agree that we can assure the transaction within a couple of minutes. It's similarly what we happened in India.
Mm-hmm.
So later we can move on that.
Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, yes. So, but yeah, again, some very interesting innovation, especially the digital key part. I will like to pick up more threads on that later on. We don't have much time.
Sure, I will be here for at least 2 months.
Pardon me?
Sure, I will be here for at least 2
sure.
months. Sure.
Quickly, Mr. Sharma, I want to understand one good innovation that Get ePay is going to bring in next 2 years.
So I think I'll add two very important points. One, I think Vincent talked about financial inclusion. So I'll give you one example. In the last 1 year or so, we have powered more than 45,000 street vendors who have got first time they were not using any type of digital payments. So in partnership with these banks, so one of them is a PSU bank, which went to these banks, these merchants, and they were able to power the digital payments. And now they are accepting. So you will be surprised that a year back, when they were not using any payments, or they were just taking cash as a payment mode. Today, there are 90% of the transactions, which is powered by GetPay, 90% of the transaction comes through the digital mode of collection.
Interesting, very interesting. So this data probably is going to be a gold mine for you going forward.
Yeah, so I think today we are sitting on 1.5 million merchants already live, another 3.5 million merchants already in the pipeline. But I think one more point which I think I want to highlight is that, say, yes, open banking and fintech partnership goes long way from here. It's a long future. So I think, but a very important point which needs to be taken care is securing the data by the fintechs, correct? People like us has to be regulated. We are already regulated entity, but I think regulation comes and plays a very important role. And I think securing the data is like elephant in the house, correct? So I think that's a very important aspect of managing the aspect. And I think if this can be taken care, I think the future is very good.
Data and security is an evolving aspect. You know, it will keep evolving over the period of time, right? But last and quickly, Mr. Tomar, loyalty. You know, loyalty, as we just discussed, is a new asset class, right? So one big push that you're seeing that the card systems or the payment systems basically can be taken quickly.
So in near future, the personalization and everything, it's already there, right? So second thing, everybody talk about data. So data is very important for those aspects as well. I think now data belongs to bank, institution, or fintechs might be thinking it belongs to them. We process about 50 million transactions every month. We think it belongs to us. And then I'll be able to do some personalization on top of it. But it's not going to belong to anybody. If it's my data, that should belong to me. I should be able to enable any of the program, any of the offers, what I want with my data, I should have that liberty, and that's gonna, it look far-fetched, because it's still regulator has some say in it, banks has some say in it, but I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna have say about my data in future, and that's gonna drive loyalty, rewards, personalization to next level eventually.
Indeed. On a closing note, I think we don't have much time, but just for a general audience purposes, we don't have much time for audience questions. Do we have? We don't have any time, right? We have only jump time. Just a closing note that data, as we all discussed, is your data, so please be careful when you are sharing it across various channels or across various instruments, wherever you are using it. Thank you, gentlemen and the lady. For your very valuable insights. We probably would have liked to discuss it much more, but incidentally we have the time now. So thank you very much. Thank you.
We thought we are the last one and going to get the maximum time. Anyways.
Yeah, maybe after. Yeah, sure, ma'am.